Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another knitting pod. I am Lena, and I am coming to you from my living room in Boulder, Colorado. Thank you for coming back. Welcome if it's your first time. We chat about knitting here. From the title, I feel like that is fairly self-evident. We chat about other things. Knitting is not a part of my life. It is literally woven into my entire life. So inevitably, I will end up chatting about other aspects of my life, and I hope that's okay with you. I'm happy you're here, and I'm excited to show you some of the things I've been working on. I am wearing the Pouf Cardigan by Hedgehog Fibers. Beta, I believe is how you say her name. Beta Jezik, the spectacular dyer behind that. Just my favorite brand of sock yarn. This is one of the free designs on her website. I did it in holding two strands of figuring weight together and kind of fading them. So this was all just pink and purple leftover. If you've watched my podcast before, you know I adore pink and purple. But I had a lot of it. I think I made this at the end of 2021. Over the holidays when we were in the mountains. Are you guys like that? Like you remember, I just remember the process of knitting, whatever I was knitting. It's like those memories are woven into that garment. That's how I feel about this. Like I remember sitting in this hotel room knitting on this. But anyway, I digress. It is a very fun pattern. There's a Le Pouf. First of all, I love saying that, Le Pouf. There's a Le Pouf sweater, which is like a crew neck, and then this is the cardigan. You guys know I love cardigans because they're so easy to throw over and layer and take off when you get too warm. It has like a bell sleeve, if you can kind of see that. I had a lot of this. I don't know why I bought this color. It's not my favorite colorway. I think it's Dreaming in Color. Is that a brand? Whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that's a brand, but that's what this is. And then there's a whole lot of Hedgehog Fibers. This edge color is a Madeline Tosh in the colorway Vino Forever, which I remember because I do love me some Vino. In retrospect, I don't know, I would have maybe done the ribbing and the collar in a color that wasn't so high contrast. I still love it. I absolutely love it, but I think it would have been pretty too if it was kind of more blendy. Highly recommend this pattern. Her patterns are great. They're clearly written and they're free, which I think is so generous of her. Love everything Hedgehog Fibers. This one colorway is called Whisper, this second one, and I just think it's so pretty. This is Rose Hip, I believe, and then Birthday Cake and Daydream and Dragonfly is this one. I just love all the names. They make me so happy. I did not try to memorize them. Those are the ones that just I remember off the top of my head. So yes, this is my Le Pouf. Ta-da. What else? I am taping this a little earlier than I usually do. I am heading to Dallas, Texas this weekend. That is where I am from. I think some of you have picked up on my y'alls and my all y'alls. I am from Texas. You can hear it if you listen close. And I'm going back for my sister-in-law's birthday this weekend to celebrate with her. It's like a quick 36-hour trip, and I am so excited. Do y'all have people in your life that they're so foundational to your life that it would be easy to forget how grateful you are for them? Like, I'm someone who is, it doesn't take, I really am a very, let me try this again. I find gratitude to be easy in my daily life. I really do notice the things I'm grateful for and try to actively let my thoughts linger on them because it just feels good, and I think that energy is contagious to other parts of your life. But my sister-in-law it's almost like she's such a rock in my life that sometimes I forget how freaking lucky I am to have her. I have known her for the past 30 years. She started dating my brother when I was like 13. So it's a long relationship that is just, there's nothing in-law about it. She is family through and through. So I'm really excited to go back and celebrate her and just soak up her energy, which is just warm and calm and, what's the word? Just like the most motherly presence. Like what, just so warm and embracing and encouraging, and I can't wait. So that is what's on tap for me. I leave tomorrow, and one of the best things about traveling for me is airplane knitting. Oh my gosh, do you guys feel this way? It's like you have to sit in your seat for 2 hours. I mean, when else does that happen? I mean, my life is so filled with, oh, I need to go do that load of laundry real quick, and I need to cook that real quick, and I need to go sign up for this real quick for my kids or whatever. It's like always these things that are perpetually simmering in my mind that I have to do. So I'll knit for 5 minutes and then I'll be up and I have to go do something else. And 2 hours of uninterrupted time where I am forced to sit in my seat with my seatbelt on, listen to something, and knit is just an absolute dream. So needless to say, the first thing I thought at the beginning of this week was, what am I going to work on? Like, what is my project going to be? I finished my socks. You're going to have to wait. I'm going to show you, but you have to wait on that. And that has been such a like singular focus of my knitting that I kind of felt at ends about what I was going to knit. And randomly, I've spoken about this before in an earlier episode, but I had cast on the Twists and Turns Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West back in October when it started, with all the fresh hope and enthusiasm of all of the MKALers. I'm going to finish it this time in 4 weeks. I got this. Yes, I'm going to grab that energy and go. And it just, what I've realized with this round of MKAL is my cup runneth over with, deadlines. Have to get this done by this point. Knitting is not one of those things that I want to put a deadline on. I've kind of talked about this before. Like I want to feel free within this space. Like it just should be joyful, period. No amendments to that sentence. And the MKAL does bring me joy, but rushing and trying to stay on track does not bring me joy, especially with something like the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West. It is just packed with intricate techniques, things you might not have done before, and his amazing videos that go alongside them that are invaluable. I wouldn't be able to do any of them without those videos, but it doesn't lend itself to relaxing knitting. It's more of focused knitting. And so I finished Clue 2, and at that point I just felt like I needed a break. My mind was it was too much at that time. So I was very proud of myself for stopping at the end of Clue 2, because I am, tip for y'all, if you are in the similar position with that, I don't think you should stop in the middle of a row or a section, because even though it might be fresh in your mind at that moment, 2 months later or 2 weeks later when you pick it up, you might not exactly remember what you were doing. So stopping at the end of a clue was great because it's like a natural point. And now I'm on Clue 3. And when it occurred to me yesterday that having finished the socks, I was still craving that Stephen West energy, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to pick up the Stephen West MKAL so that I can work on it on the plane. So this morning, I've been waking up so early, you guys. I don't know what my problem is. January has not been a sleep month for me. I'm just off of my sleep game. I don't know why, but when you're a knitter, again, every cup is half full, because I open my eyes and it's usually like 4, and I lay there for a minute, and then I get up, and then I've got like a solid few hours to work on something before I have to get everybody up and moving for their day. It's better than sleep. It's just, it fills my bucket so much. And then when everybody else is up, I just feel like my energy is different. I'm so positive and excited to see them. And I talk about my knitting to my kids all the times, and my husband. So they're always excited to see what I was working on. So this morning I got up, I got the MKAL out, I turned on the video assistance, and I started working on Clue 3, and I'll show you. You're like, can you just show us some knitting instead of rambling so much? Sorry, you guys, I'm a rambler, but here it is. It's so pretty. I'm gonna try to find it right way up. I showed this, I think, in episode 1. This is where I am in my MKAL. This is the middle section, was Clue 1. It's so beautiful. If you guys did it and are done, congrats. I hope you love it as much as I anticipate loving it. That was Clue 1. It was so intricate. There was so much, casting on and binding off, and it was just a really involved section. I definitely wore myself out on section 1. This was section 2, these big side panels, which was a lot more relaxing in terms of, rhythmic knitting that you can kind of understand and pick up and follow along. I knit this when we were on vacation for my kids' fall break. So the weather was stunning, and in this particular condo, there was this spectacular chair and lamp that were just, it was like a knitter's dream. I wouldn't let anybody else sit in this chair. I just sat my booty in that chair every time we were at home, and I knit, and this was a section. And then this is my favorite section. I don't remember what part of the clues this was, but these cables are so stunning. And the contrast between this cabled section and the geometric kind of section of this, just love it. It's just Stephen West, y'all. I should change the name of this channel to Stephen West Obsessed Knitter. This is the little baby section I cast on this morning. It took me a couple of tries. I kept getting off on my stitch count, but we're on track now. And I wanted to get on track so that tomorrow morning when I'm on the plane, I think there wasn't any complicated techniques other than the little cabling, and I feel like off I'll go and I'll make some progress on it tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that. That is where I am. And really quickly, I'm sorry if it's repetitive from a past episode, but my yarns, the blue was La Bien-Aimée, Blue Royale, I believe, Blue Royal, something like that. This limey green is Cocoa, Kokko, and this is my favorite colorway in the world, probably, Hedgehog Fibers, Daydream. It is a dream. It is a dream through and through. It's this kind of delicate lavender gravender with pops of the same neon and black and hot pink, and it makes me so happy. You guys know I love neons and pastels together are my absolute favorites. So yeah, that is my MKAL. So let's hope I make some progress. I don't anticipate getting to knit while I'm there much other than the plane, because it's a really short trip. So yeah, that is that. Moving right along, what else is going on? My Ranunculus, and I'm just remembering that it's over there, and I'm not going to leave you and walk over there right now. It's a baby cast on. It's like this big. I told you guys last time that I was watching Linda's podcast, Linda Barba Knits. I don't know. I will link her podcast in the notes, but she was wearing her Ranunculus, a Ranunculus she had made in her pot, and I fell in love with it, and I wanted to knit one for myself. Late to every party, that's me. Everybody in the world has a ranunculus or 5. So at least I know, I feel like it's a reliably, like a good pattern, a clear pattern since so many people have knit it. What I was drawn to was not only how beautiful it is, but no gauge swatch. Yes, please. So here for it. I really struggle with gauge. I knit continental style, so I think I'm a very loose knitter, so I'm always having to drop a needle size and then re-swatch, and it's a whole thing. So, I mean, nobody's like, yeah, swatching, let's do this. Or maybe you are, and I'm jealous because I don't think it's that fun, but I didn't have to swatch for this pattern. I had the yarn wound up and ready to go. I'm making it in linen quill in the Purl Soho, I should say, brand, linen quill in the colorway Fresh Nutmeg. It is this beautiful nutmeg brown color. And yeah, I didn't do the fancy cast on in the pattern. There were 2 fancy cast ons. I tried one of them and it just, I was kind of like, is there going to be a point to this? So I just did a twisted German cast on. And I think it's going to be fine. It's plenty flexible. And the pattern is fantastic. You guys, I love the way her pattern is written. It is written so clearly, number 1. Number 2, each section has like a little diagram of the sweater, and it shows you kind of where you are in that entire pattern. And it kind of shows you, for instance, in the short rows, you're working in this direction here, you're working in that direction here. And it helped me visualize in my mind what was happening, like what I was trying to accomplish. I don't know if it's because I'm a newer knitter or what, but sometimes when I'm knitting, I'm like, I hope I'm doing what this is trying to accomplish, especially when it comes to short rows and right at the beginning. Sometimes you are not oriented within your own garment. And that diagram really helped me orient myself. And I really liked that. So yes on that pattern. The second thing that's incredible is that there are video links in the pattern to her, to like a little YouTube page where she does not use any words. It's literally like one technique, 1 2-minute video. She silently shows you that technique. And if you're kind of a newer to intermediate knitter, but you're pretty confident, it's gorgeous. I freaking love this because sometimes, like say, some sort of increase that you're not familiar with. And you put into the YouTube search engine this type of increase. Up pops a 7.5-minute video that then has this introduction and talking, and you're like, can we just get to this increase? That's how I feel. And there's nothing against these very helpful people that are posting these videos, but sometimes I just want to see the technique and get back to my knitting. And that's what these videos are. It's just brilliant. There's also like in-depth tutorials all over YouTube for this pattern since it's so popular. I found one, I believe it's Sun Dragon. I will link that. I linked it in my last video that I think dives deep and has a matching, audio. So if you want more explanation, that's there too. So if you were drawn to the Ranunculus and for any reason hesitant to cast it on, highly recommend. There's so many options to customize it to make it yours. I happen to really love that oversized aesthetic. And it's such a sheer fabric that's being knit up in that fingering weight yarn that I know I'm going to love it. So I can't wait. I'm sorry I'm not showing it to you this time, but I will show it to you next time. And hopefully I'll have more of it to show, because really it's just this tiny little baby thing that you can't even see very much. Okay, yeah, and I didn't want to take that on the plane because I'm at a section early on where every row is so different, and I do sometimes need to refer to her video, and that's just not fun plain knitting, obviously. Okay, what else? I'm gonna grab a sip because my throat is dry. Let's turn to The Weekender by Andrea Mowry. You guys are so wonderful. I hope you recognize how wonderful you are. So many of you commented and helped me think through this problem I had. I do have this one, so let me grab it. This is The Weekender by Andrea Mowry. If you watched my past video, you know I was done with the body and dividing for the front and the back when I realized that I had taken very clear, simple instructions of the brilliant Andrea Mowry and not paid detailed attention. There is this beautiful column that goes all the way up the front and the back of the garment. It is a knit column that you knit once around, and then the second time you come around, you slip. I did not pay attention and did not slip. I just kept knitting that stitch every time I came to it. And I believe it has created this weird, wonky side ridge from the tension next to this lovely column right here. And as I said last time, when a garment is so simple and you mess up the defining feature of the garment, you have to kind of address it. I was ready to take this to Frog Island and rip it back, but I am so glad I didn't. I decided I was being emotional about it and I was just going to put it away. If I wanted to rip it out, I could rip it out later. But some of you had such good feedback. All of you had great feedback. Some of you very correctly pointed out that a huge part of knitting and learning how to knit better, I hate to use that word better, but learning how to, or improving your skills, let's say it that way, involves fixing your mistakes. Knitting, as in life, we learn, unfortunately, far better from our mistakes than our successes. Think back to any part of your life in the past that you really botched and you had to pick yourself up and figure out how to move forward. You learned a lot. Those are the lessons that stick. The lessons that worked out real well and life was good, they don't stick so good. Anyway, so one of the suggestions was, I thought this was brilliant, drop the column and twist all those knit stitches, and that would suck up some of the yarn. Fantastic idea by someone who's obviously a more experienced knitter. Another person I thought was a fantastic idea, and this one is the one I think I'm going to try, is she said to mattress stitch the seam from the reverse side at the end. So I'm thinking I would just continue on, because I think if I stop making this mistake now halfway through, you're going to see a difference. And I want, at least if I fix the mistake, for it to be consistent, so that suddenly that tension doesn't really suck back in and then it looks wonky, even more obviously wonky. So I'm going to give that a try. Like, if you can see on the reverse side, there's a place there that I think I could mattress stitch together. And then she said, you know, that mattress stitch just sucks in invisibly, and maybe that's what would happen. So we shall see. I am going to, when I have the bandwidth and a little distance from this project, I'm going to pick it up and explore some of those ideas. Right now, it is the dead of winter in Boulder, and Boulder is a very sunny place. Even if it's really cold, it tends to be like it might snow like crazy, but then 30 minutes later or the next day, the sun is so bright that, like, when we walk our dogs, it might be 30 degrees, and if it's sunny, we're sweating literally in our jackets. It has been the gloomiest, doomiest winter, y'all. It is seeping into my brain. And I have to say, working on this project, this color is just not, it's not bringing me life, y'all. I'm just gonna have to put this away for a sunnier time in Boulder. I think that's why I'm really drawn to the Stephen West patterns right now, because if it's not sunny outside, I'm gonna need some color inside. When I work with color, it's just infectious to me. It fills me up, like literally fills me up. So I think that's why I'm just in this mega Stephen West phase right now, because we all know that color is just, he brings the color like nobody else's business. So, where does that leave us? That leaves us to our favorites, our painting brick socks. I finished them. You guys are the best motivation. I finished sock 2 this morning. I finished grafting my little toe together at approximately 5 a.m. You know, I think whenever we cast on a project, we have these hopes and dreams. Oh my gosh, this project, this object is going to fit into my life in this way. You pick the colors, you think the fit, all of those things. And sometimes it all works out. Sometimes it all works out and it's a dream and it fits just right and the color's just what you thought. Other times, maybe it's almost there. It's like an 8 out of 10. The color looks great, but I wish I had done this a little different, or, you know, that bind off wasn't perfect. And maybe you fix it, maybe you don't. I'm not someone who will keep ripping it out until it's perfect, because I cannot be bothered. This was one of those projects, the rare occasion where your hopes and dreams meet reality and it's just perfect. It's like a custom-made sock. And I know you're like, it is a custom-made sock. You made it for yourself. But that's not how it often works. I didn't gauge swatch. I just used the tiniest needle, toothpick needle I could find. But it just fits like a dream. Like if y'all ski, you know when you go get your ski boots fitted, like they heat them up and they mold them to your feet. It's like that. It's like they are just, you want to see them, don't you? Yes, you do. I wish I had those fancy those sock blocker things y'all have. I don't have any. But maybe I need them, because look, oh my gosh, I haven't blocked them yet, because you know I'm gonna take them to Dallas. There is no way. I mean, these are gonna be so stinky by the time I get back. They're gonna need to be washed then, because I will. If I could pick my skin, it would be this. Like I would have like a full bodysuit, like Mystique from the X-Men, you know, the blue sparkly. No, this would be my X-Men suit, okay? Don't worry, I'm not gonna knit a bodysuit. That would just, yeah, that day has passed. That youth has passed. But you guys are just, I'm sorry if you're sick of hearing about them, but they're a dream. If I knew socks could bring me so much happiness, I would have knit them a long time ago. Like when I put them on and I'm just living my life, walking around my house, like making a coffee or filling up a water pitcher, 2 things I do, I don't know, shocking amounts of time a day. And I look down at my feet and this is on my feet. It's like being shocked by joy. And that is not an exaggeration. I literally feel like a electric feeling in my heart. I just love them so much. The main color is Valentina in Malabrigo's Ultimate Sock, which is a stunning yarn. It is, from a distance, it just looks solid, but if you look closely, there's like this beautiful, you know, slightly tonal, very organic color variation within that dye. It's just so beautiful. I used all these glorious colors that were just hanging out in my stash. And if you've watched, there was a video I posted where I talked about how I have completely abandoned the notion and term stash busting, because I just don't like it. I don't like the intention and energy around it. And someone had commented on that video, and I wish I could remember who, because she deserves credit, because this is not my notion. She said that she thought it rung so true to her, and that if you talk to an artist whose medium is paint, you would never hear them saying they were just trying to use up all their paint as quickly as possible. Why do we feel that way about our yarn? Like, why would we want to use up the thing that is our medium almost? You know what I mean? Like, I understand wanting to use what you have, but what she was saying is changing your point of view from using it up to enjoying it almost. And that is how I felt about these socks. Like, I felt like each skein, each color pop was a connection to that yarn. Like, and one of them, you know, this blue, this is Dragonfly, I believe it's called, by Hedgehog Fibers in their sock yarn. And I literally had like a ball this big left over. And I had put it in my basket that I was like, I hadn't, it was just in my stash. And like, it's just so joyful to use like this tiny little bit of yarn as like a little splash of paint in this sock. And so anyway, just pure joy. There was nothing about this project that was tedious. Like I said in the last one, do the weaving in technique of the colors that he showed you. Today I was trimming the ends inside, and it literally, when the sock was inside out, it looked like a unicorn mane. It was just like a furry stripe. And like the thought of weaving in all those ends into this tiny, very dense stitch, no thank you. I'm glad I took his advice and did the weave and Steven. So do the weave and Steven. Cast these on, you guys. That's all I have to say. These belong back on my feet, but I didn't want to have them on my feet and be lifting my feet up because that would just be gross. So anyway, this is it. I will stop talking about them now. I think it's time to stop talking about them. What else? I just wanted to make sure. Oh, I was going to say, I'm scared to cast on socks by anyone else because these fit so beautifully and were just so easy. Like the heel flap is this garter stitch and the heel turn was the simplest short rows. It was so easy and it fits so well that I'm scared to try a non-Stephen West sock. And there's so many sock patterns out there. But can you guys let me know? I truly do not know the answer because I'm really a baby knitter still. Can you like swap out heels and toes in other patterns? So like if you were doing a top-down sock and they had some other fancy heel that I don't want to do because this fits and is amazing, can you just swap it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. If you know, please let me know. Also, if there are sock patterns that you are obsessed with and that also fit perfectly and do all the things that Stephen West did to socks, please let me know that too. I want to spread my sock love around. I ran across, I wrote it down. Summer Lee Designs. She had some incredibly fun color poppy socks that looked really good, but I'm scared. You'll have to let me know what you think about that. Okay. I promised y'all the pink yarn. So, I think we should all play a drinking game where we take a shot every time I say Stephen West. No, let's not play that game. It's like noon, so let's not play that game. But I feel like I need another term. I feel like every 2 seconds I'm saying Stephen West. He had mentioned this color. It is the Birch Hollow Fibers Sylvia sock base in the colorway Neon Fishnets. Pink is my favorite color in the world, and he said that this was like the most glorious pink, and I found a skein. online and I had to buy it, and it came. Look at it. It's so beautiful. It is just as stunning as he said. It has like a glow from within. It is, it doesn't have that tonal quality of the Malabrigo sock. It has a very matte neon color. Ooh, it seems that you guys agree I should cast on leg warmers. If you haven't seen my previous episode, I was talking about how I really want to do painting brick leg warmers. And from the positive reaction, I'm feeling like it's not an absurd idea to make hot pink leg warmers. I mean, it seems like an obviously good idea to me. Now, the question is twofold. Obviously, this is a very different background color than this, so they will look very different. But these are obviously a good amount of my fingering weight scraps, so I don't want to use the exact same colors in this. So look at this. Okay. I'm so excited about this. Look at this combination. Oh, it just gives me like a sparkly feeling inside. This is Woolfolk yarn in the snow base. So I love this yarn because the base is called Snow, and each colorway is a marled yarn of 2 different colors. So, and all the colors have numbers, which is so fun. I don't know why that's fun, but this colorway is called 1+15. So it is black and white, obvi. But I just, maybe, what do you think? Tell me what you think. Doing the background in this and then just doing all the bricks in this, or something. My head is percolating. He has this pattern called, what's it called? Building Blocks Leg Warmers. It looks like an older pattern of Mr. Westnitz. I'm going to try not to say his name again. And he did the cuff in like a black and white, which is what brought this to mind. So I don't know. It's just in the hopper right now. It's sitting there. I need a break anyway, because knitting with those teeny tiny needles and I knit those socks pretty fast. I think it took me 2 weeks. My hand is a little tired. When I picked up like the MKAL, like a regular sized 3.5 millimeter needle or something, it felt like I was holding huge needles in comparison. Like my hand can just be a lot more relaxed. When you're knitting socks, I feel like you're more conscious of the tension being nice and tight. So I might need a break before I cast these on, but I don't know, cuff in this, something, I don't know, some combination. This will be involved and this will be involved. Maybe I buy some little Hedgehog Fibers sock minis. You know those? Those are, I want them in every color. They're freaking adorable. So anyway, that's that. I grabbed these other pinks. I'm going to show you real quick. I have these other really hot pinks in my stash, and I wanted to just show you how they compare, because this one seemed hard to find. This is Purl Soho Linen Quill in Pink Pop, I believe is the colorway, and it's a very similar colorway, very different composition of yarn. So this has linen and alpaca, and the linen gives it that little fuzziness that is so lovely. Fabulous yarn, so soft, very bright, but in a little bit of a more muted way. So if you're looking for pink, that is a fun one. Linen Quill and Pink Pop. This is Hedgehog Fibers. I love this one. It is called, I wrote it down, Pinky Swear, I think. Pinky Swear. It is a, it's got a lot going on there. Really fun. Little bit darker, but has a lot going on. And then this one is Sorry, Not Sorry. It's very neon. It has, you can see it's a little different. It seems to have more fuchsia and blue tones. It is a stunner. I have it in my sock, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so those are some fun pinks. If you like pink, Hedgehog has another one called Flamingo and one called Harajuku, which I want so bad. I need to find a reason to get it because I like to have a reason. It's I had a reason to buy this, so I don't feel guilty about that. Okay, what else? Moving right along. Oh, another really fun thing that I got that I'm excited about is this. The Knitter's Book of Yarn by Clara Parks. I'm really excited to have gotten this in the mail. You know, I bought it because Andrea Mowry of Dre Renee Knits. I call her Dre Renee like she's my bestie, even though sadly she's not. Although I did get to meet her at Wool and Folk last year. I'm going to have to show you a picture sometime. I'll pop it up sometime. She had mentioned it was a really valuable book about, has this ever happened to you? Where you pick a yarn for a project and then at the end of it, you're like, I feel like that was a mismatch. And obviously I'm very color driven, but like, not every project needs a superwash bright colored yarn. Not every superwash yarn reacts very differently than a non-superwash yarn. Alpaca is very different from a wool. I've learned that the hard way. So I feel like this book is a fantastic resource for diving into that and making better choices. And I love yarn. It's my love language. Look at this. I'm obsessed with this. Can you see this? It's like it's a chart of all different fibers and animals. And I want a print of this and to hang it on my wall. I don't know why it makes me so happy. So I am going to read this. I started reading it like it's a novel from the beginning because I don't want to miss anything. So it might take me a while, but as I discover interesting tidbits, I'm going to share them with you. So if you are not interested in reading a 500 page book about yarn, then you don't have to because I will tell you all the things. It even has patterns. Look, socks. So yeah, excited about that. Another thing I'm excited about, this is in my Don't You Dare or Slow Your Roll section of life, is there's a new pattern by Yamagara called the Easy Cozy Cardigan. I will put a picture up. It is, oh my gosh, when I saw it on Instagram, she just released it. It is stunning. It's a ribbed cardigan with cables, like a cable collar band, whatever this is called. What I loved about it was similar to the Ranunculus. She gives you options to make it a vest, to make it a regular cardigan with this type of band, and then to make a second option like a collared cardigan. All three were absolutely stunning. I just adore this versatility in these patterns because, you know, maybe there's one person that really is looking for a vest or that really fits into their wardrobe, and another person likes a more tailored look, so that, you know, collared cardigan would work better, but it's still this same pattern. I love that. More of that, designers. You guys are brilliant gifts to the knitting world, and I think we would like that, more of that. So go check that pattern out. I got it for 15% off. It was an automatic discount for the first some amount of time. So go see if that's still on there and let's knit that. She knitted in 100% cashmere, and I'm curious about that. I'm going to dive into this book and find, because I always thought cashmere pilled a lot, so I'm really reluctant to knit with 100% cashmere because if you have watched this podcast before, you know pilling is my absolute nightmare. I do not like it. So anyway, that is my knitting content. At the end of every pod, I like to talk about what's in my ears, what I'm listening to. I love to knit and listen to books on. I was about to say books on tape, but that would be about 20 years behind the times. Audiobooks, I think, is the current term. I just finished Ann Tyler's French Braid. I had mentioned it last time. Last time I had said I really liked it, but I didn't love it yet. And now that I'm done with it, I absolutely would put it in the category of love. It was such a beautiful book. Highly recommend reading it. I have a lot of feelings about this book. It was one of those books that just stayed with me so much. I've been mulling it over and over in my mind. It is about a family, just a very normal family. There is nothing exciting about this family other than they are complicated in the way every family is. And at the very beginning, I will give nothing away, I promise. But in the first chapter, one of the characters says, I even wrote it down. I don't want to mess it up. What makes a family not work? And the minute she said that, I was just like, my ears pricked up. Any book about families and what makes them work or not work, I'm just so drawn to. I'm gonna ramble for a sec, and it's not really about knitting. It'll kind of tie back to knitting, but if you're done, you are welcome to catch me next time. But if you want to hear me talk about this book a little, I'll take 2 minutes and talk about it. I don't know how to say this in any other way, but when I became a mother, I think I had my first kiddo I was 29. And I feel like until he was born, I didn't become who I really am. Like, it's like with his birth was my birth. Becoming a mother was just foundational. It was like a revelation to me. And not everybody feels that way. And I'm not saying that in a boastful way. It's just part of who I am. It's not something I tried to feel. It just is how I felt. And then as I became a mother, and they're small and you're just so inward facing, like you're in the pit with your small children, and everything is just so all-consuming physically and emotionally. And as my kids were young, they were, I'll say, like 6 and 2 or 7 and 3. Yes, they were getting older, and I would look around out into the world at my other friends who had kids, and some of them I have had middle schoolers at that time or high school kids. And obviously, intellectually, I knew that those children used to be small children. But in my head, it just seemed impossible that my small children were ever going to be middle schoolers or ever going to be teenagers or, God forbid, ever graduate and leave my home and go to college. And there was just one moment that's so crystal clear, because it didn't happen until like 3 years ago, where a dear friend of mine whose kids were older, whose oldest was going off to college. I had known him since he was about the age of my oldest at that moment in my life. It was like a thunderbolt. I was thunderstruck that he was leaving for college. And she is very much like me, just a mother through and through, just like in it. And just this realization that there could be a time where this family I've built, that this unit of 4 plus our 2 dogs, this unit of 6 that is so tightly knit and works so beautifully, and especially after COVID, is just so intensely wound. It's like felting rather than knitting. Like, that's what it feels like to me. Like the fibers have melded together. The thought that these people there's a date at which they just leave, like that's okay, like that's allowed. They can just leave us. It shook me. And since that realization, I think there's been a conscious effort. Like, I think I went through stages of grief, like denial. And now I'm at the point of realizing that the biggest gift I can give my family and the best likelihood of them continuing to be part of that felted fabric, even if they leave, is for me to not just be turning inward towards my family now, but to slowly start turning back outwards. There were 30 years of life I lived before I had them that I'm still there. I'm still an independent identity, an independent person with my greatest passion, which is knitting. And it is such part of the intention behind this podcast is for me to, I felt like even if there were two people out there that I connected authentically over this medium about my passion, that I could come alive within myself in the same way that they bring me alive. And that I can start turning towards that and filling myself up from that place. And then in 10 years, when my daughter graduates high school, maybe I won't feel like this empty vessel. And by being a full, complete, happy entity of my own, they will be free to go build their beautiful life and still be part of our beautiful life. Those are my thoughts about this book. You're like, how does that relate back to this book? This book is just about a family, and it goes from their childhood all the way till, way into their adulthood, and kind of just picks apart the very tiny threads and moments that makes a family work or doesn't work. And it just brought all those thoughts to mind about family and about how we work as individuals and how we work within our family units and what happens as our children grow and become adults and independent beings of their own and with minds of their own. And yeah, those are my rambling thoughts. Again, I told you there would be rambling thoughts. I think that's why I like this social media medium of YouTube and not Instagram, because I cannot communicate in a picture. I need some words. So that's it. Those are my words about that book. Check it out. Loved it. Must be honest, didn't love the narrator. I think I would have rather read that book than listened to it. So that would be my only feedback. If you've read anything else by Ann Tyler, you know she is a master of like the quiet novel where it's just deceptively, I don't even want to use this word simple, but there's just so much depth there. Just absolutely beautiful. I started a book called, I believe it's called The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. It's like the polar opposite. It's a historical novel. I'm struggling. It's just such a change from French Braid that I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm sure it'll be beautiful. I've read Maggie O'Farrell before. She's a spectacular writer. I will report back. So anyway, that is all I have for you. And that was a lot. That was a lot I had for you. Sorry for just emotionally dumping on you, but it's been on my mind, and maybe it's been on yours. And if you have any thoughts about motherhood from whatever perspective you stand, I would love to hear it. Anyway, I hope you have a glorious weekend. I am so excited about my weekend. I'm such a homebody, but I am really looking forward to having a little change of pace, but it'll still involve knitting. I can't wait to work on my MKAL. I hope you're looking forward to whatever you are working on. I will say goodbye for now, and I will see you next week. Bye.